I am not teaching, I am publicly learning. Hi and welcome to Learning for Life in the UK test, part 468, by doing standing leg gymnastics, and that you participate in the standing leg gymnastics, that's the general risk. So we already had it all, and we know most of it. And now we're going through the whole book again and looking always for little sections which you can learn them in a way that you're then able to present them completely down in one little presentation. Now the next thing, what is the Prime Minister? I don't think we can do it. We had talked about it when we repeated all together about the constitutional monarchy and maybe the Bill of Rights or so. Rebellion of the clans, there we're going to do something for it. So Prime Minister, there was also an attempt by Scottish Jacobites to put James II's son on the throne. The rebellion of the clansmen was the grandson of James II. So the rebellion of the clans, we did it already at the end of James II, when we made a little presentation about James II. And we're going to so the idea is that I'm going to prepare. First of all, we're starting with the exercises. But if you participate in these exercises, we'll sit here on this. Then your feet sitting together, and they're going in front, onto the balls of the feet, and then back onto the heels, for moderator. So the idea is that I'm going to prepare in the next few minutes, that I'm able to talk all down through the, maybe we're going to actually call it the Bonnie Prince Charlie adventure, or so. And then in a couple of minutes, I'm going to make it all down. In a separate video, I'm trying to record it for people who are just looking for Bonnie Prince Charlie adventure. Now, a little bit do I want to say to that name, because some people might find it confusing to say adventure. I'm using the title because there was the Mexican adventure in the 19th century, and there Napoleon III invaded in Mexico, or so. And it somehow really fits, I think, Bonnie Prince Charlie adventure. Maybe you're not going to use it, but that's the reason why I'm so far have referred to it with that name. So in the year 1745, the Jacobites in Scotland, we can say it like that. Next exercise, we're going foot in front, we're going in front and back. The Jacobites in Scotland. So Jacobites were people who wanted James, or James, what is it even called? Ancestors? Predecessors? No, predecessors, successors, children. Who wanted James or his children on the throne. So they supported the grandson of James II. His name, Charles Edward Stuart, Bonnie Prince Charlie. I'm now talking a bit in a rehearsing way, so how I want to do it then in the video. So we supported Bonnie Prince Charlie, Charles Edward Stuart, also named Bonnie Prince Charlie, which I need to make. But he was defeated by the by the British monarch George II in the Battle of Culloden. He then escaped to Europe. Now that led to that the clans lost their power. The chieftains became landlords, but only if they had the favour of the British king, and the clansmen became tenants and they had to pay for the land they used. Next exercise. The outside we're going from leg to leg. And at that time a process began which has the title, or which had to become the name. I think that wasn't then used, or not at least directly, or should have been known, or then went on to be called, which has the title, which has the name, Highland Claimants. And in that, the Scottish landlords destroy little crofts, so small farms were destroyed, the little crofts were destroyed to create much space, great grazing land, great areas where the sheep and cattle could graze, to make space for large flocks of sheep and cattle. What are evictions? So I'm not going to say it, but many Scottish people left for America. And also during the time that many people from Scotland emigrate to North America. Okay, I think we could do it now. Now I want to first do all the exercise. Next exercise, learn one leg in front, and we're going to the front leg. The next thing will then be Robert Burns. I think we can actually do that. I almost know. Robert Burns, he is known in Scotland as the Bard. Now here a little explanation of what a Bard is would be helpful. I don't know it. I have a strong suspicion, a strong assumption. But if it's wrong, you will never get it out of your head. Because it sounds so right. So I'm not going to say. So, Robert Burns, known also as the Bard. Just in Scotland or somewhere else, is maybe, I'm not going to say now what I'm looking into the camera, is maybe someone else known in other regions as the Bard, because here I also have heard something. But if it's not true, I don't want to say who would that be. And he wrote in the Scottish language, in the Scots language, but also in English with some Scottish words mixed in, and he also wrote in complete standard English. He revisited a lot of traditional folk songs. He revised, he reworked. I'm going to use the term reworked. We have changed the leg. I'm not so concentrated by these exercises. He reworked, there's another word for it. Revised. He created a little new versions. He took old traditional songs, but it's easier to understand. He took old traditional folk songs and now wrote something based on them. Okay, he revised. People do not understand it. It's not so easy to understand. He took old traditional songs oftentimes and wrote them a little bit newer versions of them based on these old. And wrote them a little bit newer versions of his traditional songs. His best known work is probably Auld Lang Syne. Next exercise, we have feet standing together, we're just going onto the horns of the feet and the back. His best known work, or the work which he's most famous for, or his work which is the most famous, I'm saying it in multiple ways, so that I have the option to use which is the most natural one, and that I'm familiar with the way I'm going to say that. It's a bit complex to say that. Because, what could I say? His best known work is probably, that's a complex way to express it. I will not be there and have it here. His best known work is it's starting to get so complex. There's so many words which have to fit perfectly in a sentence. I cannot mix up one of them. So I have to have a little familiarity and a bit practice in saying the sentence. That's why I'm saying it a couple of times. Saying is Auld Lang Syne. His most famous work, his best known work. The work which is he most famous for, the work of him, which is the most famous one, is probably his most like. See, I don't want to express this with song. That's a problem with probably. I cannot use seems or slightly when people don't understand what's going on here. So I have to use probably. And I can't use anything else. Or I skip it completely. And that's the problem with that expression. I have to use exactly that word. No synonyms or no similar words. Last exercise, we're doing car phrases. Here we are. And down. And this Auld Lang Syne is still sung by many people around New Year's time. And New Year's time is in Scotland called Hogmanay. And Hogmanay is in Scotland a very big festival. I'm not going to go into the details there. I don't fit. Okay, we are doing already the last exercise. We have 2 videos ready to do. Let's look for the rebellion first. It was 1756, the Battle of Culloden 1746. It was supported by the Jacobites, who James and his also children in France, who supported a grandson of James VI, his name Charles Edward Stuart, Bonnie Prince Charlie. The chieftains became landlords if they had a favour. The clansmen, tenants, and they had to pay for the land. Hiding clearance began. Crofts were destroyed to make large flocks, space for large flocks of sheep. And we're stretching a bit here onto the ground and we're going a bit in front. And they could also say that that was the time when many people left Northern America. Scotland for Northern America. On the other side, leg the heel onto the ground and leg out of it in front, calf stretches. Okay, that was for standing leg gymnastics. I'm going to start now the second camera. And now I have there two cameras running. The first one continues to be this learning and fitness video, and fitness stuff. And on the second one, I'm trying to say another thing about the Bonnie Prince Charlie adventure. In the year 1745, there had happened that the Jacobites in Scotland tried again to put James or his children onto the throne in Britain. Jacobites were the people who wanted James II or his children on the throne in Britain, and the grandson of James II was it who they wanted to have back on the throne. His name, so the name of a grandson of James II, who was supported by the Jacobites in Scotland, was Charles Edward Stuart, or also called Bonnie Prince Charlie. So Bonnie Prince Charlie had the support of the Scottish clans, and there was an uprising and also a big battle happened, the Battle of Culloden in 1746, where the clansmen lost. Bonnie Prince Charlie fled back to Europe, and the clans were punished in a way. So the chieftains of the clans became landlords, but only if they had the favor of the British king. And the clansmen became tenants, and they had to pay for the land on which they were doing farming. And also at the time, a process known as the Highland Clearance began, the Highland Clearance. And in that, the smaller farms known as crofts, so these crofts, small farms, were destroyed to create large areas of grazing land for large flocks of sheep and cattle. And it was also a time when many people from Scotland left Scotland to settle in North America. And that is according to the Life UK Test Handbook, page 34 and 35. Okay, we have 2.5 minutes. Let's try the thing with Robert Burns. I'm going to make a new. Second video there. So, and let's try to do the thing about Robert Burns. Robert Burns, he is known as the Bard in Scotland by some people. He wrote in the Scots language, he was a poet, and he also wrote in Standard English, and he sometimes wrote in English with Scottish words. He revised traditional folk songs, so he took old traditional folk songs and then made a new version of them. And his most famous work is probably Auld Lang Syne, which is sung in many countries around New Year. New Year is known in Scotland as Hogmanay, and in Scotland Hogmanay is a very big festival. And that is according to the Life in the UK Test Handbook, page 35. I wanted to say when he was born, his birthday, his life date. I forgot to say that. Okay, now we're done with all that. We have done 2 great videos which people can search for. I have a little biography of, not a biography, a little explanation to Robert Burns, and also quite easy to understand, I think, to Bonnie Prince Charlie. So, I thank you very much, and until the next time.